a game away from player being eliminated. It's always horrible to get this far and just get that close to the finals. And, you know, even ignoring the scholarship prize end of this, getting the chance to play in the World Finals is something that everyone dreams of. You know, on Sunday, you get that championship Sunday where the only video game matches remaining are the World Finals. Now, everyone wants to be on that stage, and these guys are both that close.
Yeah, it's a lot on the line, obviously. Besides simply besides any prizing, of course, it's always really huge just to know that all this training and preparation, and I'm sure years and hours of work have finally gone to you being the number one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that almost matters. Well, I'm not going to say it matters more than the prizing, but, you know, the pride's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the players aren't just playing here because they're trying to get rich or something, right? But, I mean, it's going into game two. Both players really going to have to think hard about how to play through that one. I thought Shoma had a pretty big disadvantage with the lead matchup, but a pretty big advantage with the 4 Pokemon he brought. So even though the beginning of the game was super awkward, he got to the point where he had better Pokemon remaining and won because of it. I think both trainers probably should learn from that first game that Landorus is a lot more important to preserve for this matchup than Kangaskhan is. You know, usually you're used to a Mega Pokemon being one of the most dominant forces in the battle. I think this time, Kangaskhan's more of a support Pokemon. Like, Fake Out makes it good enough that's probably worth bringing, but shouldn't be the focus of either of these players' offenses. I think, you know, at this point in the tournament, most players are prepared to deal with Kangaskhan, and these guys are no exception. So
yeah.
It can win, but it's going to have to be, you know, a side dish here, not the main course.
Very true. And speaking of Kangaskhan, actually making its appearance here in the finals this year as last year, I don't even know if it made the top 8.
It did not. Yeah, I mean, the Kangaskhan I think finished like 13th or something. So a pretty big jump here to see 2 Kangaskhan in the semifinals, guaranteed to get one in the finals now.
Yeah, even with more Pokemon at their disposal, Kangaskhan just still such a threat even in the 2015 season. So it looks like both of our players are locked in and throwing out their Pokemon here. We do get the Landorus Cresselia lead for Naohito on the bottom and Shoma on the top, going with that Heatran and Kangaskhan. So this looks awfully familiar. In fact, I would venture to say that these are the same leads as last time.
You'd be right, Justin. I mean, I felt like in the previous game that Shoma had a little disadvantage here, but the way the match was played ended up making it very advantageous to him. I really like that we see the same lead matchup in that sense, because I don't usually like it when players keep the same lead matchup because your opponent should be expecting it. But to me, this makes a really fun dynamic where we have the player who won and the player who maybe should have won. So let's see if this time the adjustments are made to flip the results of this script and make us end up in a game 3 here.
Yeah, I would love to see a game 3. I'm sure Shoma wouldn't. I'm sure he's ready to go on to be potentially in that grand finals here. But both players looking to lock in some moves here now. We saw last time Kangaskhan did go for that Fake Out early on. Is it time to make the switch prediction here? Or do you go for the same thing and hope Naohito switched it up? Let's take a look. There goes the Mega. It looks like Kangaskhan will be staying in here with the threat of a super power going into either of these slots potentially. And let's see what we get from both of our trainers. There's the Protect again. So a very similar turn 1 so far. We get the Protect here on Landorus there for Naohito. And a Substitute now set up for Shoma, which I don't think we saw last time. And let's see what the move is. Cresselia Psychic again onto that Kangaskhan slot there. So, wow, shapes up to be almost the exact same turn 1, except this time Heatran going behind a Substitute.
I think that's a big improvement. I was very surprised not to see the Substitute in the previous game. We'd seen a similar lead matchup in one of the Swiss rounds, and the Heatran getting the Substitute pretty much dominated the game. Unfortunately, this is the wrong side making a positive adjustment, right? They're thinking that Shoma would maybe get outplayed this time, but he's actually in an even better situation than he was the first time.
No, it's looking good with that Heatran behind there, really able to take this Earthquake. It doesn't affect Cresselia here, but does a ton of damage to Kangaskhan, actually taking it down to the yellow. I believe we will see that Substitute fade away there, and Heatran does return to the field. Kangaskhan now hitting really hard with that return, but actually doesn't manage to pick up the feint here. Now, it will depend on the connection of this Heatran's Heat Wave, and I think, based on Shoma's reaction there, I think we are going to see it fall, and Cresselia does stay in.
Yeah, some big damage there.
Definitely, and Cresselia finishing off the turn with an Ice Beam, no freeze, and Kangaskhan in the red.
Yeah, that's okay, so I assume that he was kind of expecting the opposite of what he got last time, where he went for that superpower and it looked pretty silly. This time, Earthquakes and Ice Beams expecting a similar play. Last game, that would have been Thunderous coming in. This game, it's still Kangaskhan.
Yes.
Where Psychic might have gotten the knockout. This does not. Landorus goes down easily, and you didn't have to make the trade this time. We came in the last game. Trading Kangaskhan for Landorus was pretty advantageous for the side that lost Kangaskhan, but Kangaskhan is decisively still right there. It's on the right.
Right. If you just look like at the top right of the screen, it's definitely still out there. So definitely some defensive training on this Kangaskhan here. Maybe even in hit points, really throwing a couple extra hours in training on that one.
That's actually a really good point. It looks like both of these players are using slower, bulkier Kangaskhan. So, anyone watching at home kind of wondering, well, how do I make Kangaskhan work at the high level? I don't think it's those like max speed, super quick, super frail Kangaskhan that are going to get it done anymore.
4 double edge moves, just all 4 double edge.
Yeah, double edge, like single edge, like triple edge, and frustration because you got to get the style points.
Exactly. Obviously, always needed there. So yes, you're exactly right, Scott. It does appear like definitely investing in defense is, as they say, what defense wins championships, right?
Yeah, it's always what you expect to do with this tournament. Typically, teams get bulkier and play a little bit better defensively. There's been a whole lot of switching, I guess, other than on Shoma's side, which is good because he has the 1 next to his name.
And it does look like we get a protect here from Heatran, from Shoma there. Kangaskhan protecting as well, so I don't believe we actually saw that last time. Kangaskhan revealing another move there for Naohito on the bottom. And Cresselia getting the Trick Room up. This could be really interesting after those 2 Pokemon, I believe, moved before Naohito's Kangaskhan last time.
That's true. We were mentioning it was quite strange that Kangaskhan was so slow. But now the pieces are starting to fit together. Like, oh, okay, I see why that happened.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, potentially Trick Room could be a big advantage here. Even though the species of the Pokemon on both teams are similar, they can be trained very differently and they perform very differently in battle. Trick Room is one of the things that really takes advantage of that, and that could be a game changer here. It looked like Naohito is about to be on the ropes again, but if anything's going to turn it around, it's going to be this Trick Room.
It could be absolutely huge. We could see a double feint pickup here. It's just going to really depend on the play of Shoma. He does have some switching options available to him right now, but either way, he's going to be taking some damage.
Yeah, I think if he can survive this Trick Room without losing too much, he'll win the game, but it'd be very easy. 1 or 2 wrong predictions, it's going to be all over and leading game 3.
Yeah, this might be a good switch in here into that Amoonguss. This could be huge depending on what that Amoonguss has. I don't know if we saw it last game. Maybe a little Rocky Helmet. Depends on what Kangaskhan decides to do here. We do see the Mega for Naohito show itself, and there we go. Kangaskhan with a Sucker Punch into the Cresselia. Going to do super effective damage, but Cresselia being very, very defensive naturally manages to take it and gets the Citrus Berry here. So Cresselia probably not even going to be below 50% after that move, and I think Shoma's going to go ahead and lose the Mega on this turn depending on what Naohito has decided to do. Ice Beam into that slot no matter what is going to pick it up there, so didn't need to risk it with a Psychic on that one. And Kangaskhan will, of course, I think attack into that here. Oh no, choosing the low kick, going to take some serious Rocky Helmet damage and actually doing more damage to itself than it actually did to that Amoonguss here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that game was actually critical like the game said it was. Yeah, that low kick. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that was kind of what I meant earlier. You kind of have to make those reads to come out ahead here. That was the big one, was, if you're going to whiff the low kick into the Heatran slot or hit a double edge, going to be a tough spot. Now, I do want to highlight something great that Naohito did there, though, which I think was very subtle and players are going to miss, but notice he didn't Mega Evolve the turn he set Trick Room. When Kangaskhan Mega Evolves, like I mentioned before, it gains speed, so he intentionally didn't gain that speed, so he'd be slower in the first turn of Trick Room. I thought that was really clever. It didn't make a difference this play, but it's like those smart little things that separate the really great players from some of the other competitive players, and definitely something to learn from.
No, that was interesting. Of course, we saw it protect actually that turn, stall out going into Mega, and then Cresselia setting up that Trick Room here. Although it is important to mention that Amoonguss is most likely the slowest Pokemon on the field now. Yeah,
the Trick Room may backfire. Cresselia may want to consider resetting it now and protecting Kangaskhan from inevitable Spore. On the flip side, Amoonguss probably wants to think about sporing and Cresselia and preventing that from happening. We do sometimes see Cresselia with items to protect it from Spore, but since we saw Citrus Berry, there's nothing Cresselia can do if Amoonguss chooses to go for it here, and I think that's definitely the best play. And also the danger, I guess, of using Trick Room when you have such similar teams.
Yeah, this could be scary. It's always nice and a really smart play to have that one Pokemon that you say, this is my Trick Room counter.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny, too, because Amoonguss is not one of the Pokemon that is unique to the trainers. They both could have brought it, but It looks like probably only one trainer has Amoonguss here, and it's going to make a big difference in this second battle.
And it looks like we have decided to see that protect there on Heatran. There is the Sport, goes off faster into that Cresselia slot. Kangaskhan really going to have to pick up some serious damage here. Who does Naohito target is the question, and it looks like we'll find out in a second here after Cresselia sleeps this turn. Of course, one turn of sleep, and it does look like he has attacked into the Heatran, so Kangaskhan doing no damage here. Amoonguss still on the field and managed to put this Pokemon to sleep, which means Kangaskhan might be a turn away from sleep as well.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised to see a protect from Kangaskhan here, but at this point he's just kind of stalling his own Trick Room out, not really making any progress, and certainly before Trick Room expires, Amoonguss is going to have a shot at another Spore in that slot. A really tough position now. Shoma's got a really commanding lead. He's played this series really fabulously, and it's going to be tough to take this one away from him. Has the right Pokemon out at the right time here, and the combination of Heatran and Amoonguss could close this series for him.
Yeah, that is kind of looking how it's shaping up here. That protect on Heatran was a great call. It was most likely it was really the safest play. Shoma just took a look at what his options were and made the absolute safest play, which isn't always the best play.
It's true.
And we get the protect here from Kangaskhan, like you had said earlier, not wanting to get spored there, which I think just happened there. Cresselia does wake up. Wait a second, manages to get an Ice Beam off into the Amoonguss. No freeze on that one, does a decent amount of damage here, and it does look like Heatran's going to go ahead and hit back. Kangaskhan shouldn't be taking any damage here, but Cresselia will be going down to 71 hit points.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised to see that Ice Beam rather than reversing Trick Room, even though it wouldn't really improve the situation that much, where Kangaskhan still has to knock out Amoonguss before it can low kick Heatran. At least Kangaskhan gets a chance to move. The way it was played out, Kangaskhan almost definitely going to get spored here. There's still remaining Pokemon, so maybe it's all a ploy and Amoonguss is in the back or something, but otherwise, I'm not seeing how this is going to get in a position where Naohito can actually take the game.
And we do see both trainers taking a little while here to lock in those moves. This being a very critical turn to a lot on the line. The winner, of course, of this series will go on into the grand finals of the World Championships tomorrow here. So that'll be happening. Don't forget about that, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. We do see the Spore get fired off into the Kangaskhan slot. Unfortunately, unable to avoid that one. It can be a pretty brutal move here. We do see the Psychic, though, from Cresselia. Probably going to pick up the feint here, and does manage to get rid of that Amoonguss, but at what cost with this Heatran still on the field? And Kangaskhan, of course, does sleep this turn and should hopefully maybe wake up the next one, but I don't know if it's going to be around here. Does a lot of damage to that Kangaskhan, but Cresselia avoiding the Heat Wave.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Now, it's possible that both of them will be able to survive another Heat Wave. It's going to be pretty close in Kangaskhan's case, but it's right on the edge. And Landorus coming out here. A Pokemon is very dominant in the first game, but not something that wants to stare down Cresselia and Trick Room. So finally an advantage to having that Trick Room up, perhaps.
Yeah, and it looks like this might be the last turn of that. So hopefully does something here. I think Heatran, though, does have access to protect. So unfortunately, Kangaskhan won't be able to do anything to it, most likely, unless Shoma decides to play really risky and hope for another turn of sleep.
Yeah, I mean, Heatran will be all right, but Landorus probably not as much. I think you're losing that Landorus here. Even if you could pick up a knockout with Heat Wave of one of these Pokemon, you're still in a 2-on-1 position where maybe they can turn it around, but Kangaskhan waking up is a big deal here. It doesn't look like we have a hyper-offensive Cresselia like we saw earlier in the day, so a single Ice Beam on this Landorus probably not going to get the job done.
No, and it's going to be an interesting move to see here as both trainers wait to lock in the very last second. And let's see what we get. It's going to be a protect from Cresselia, actually, instead of going for that potential Ice Beam into Landorus there. And a Rock Slide comes out. Will be enough to pick up the feint on Kangaskhan. No, and really showing its physical bulk there, hanging on with 30 hit points. And the Heat Wave, I think, does connect. Kangaskhan will fall for Naohito there on the bottom screen. And I believe Cresselia is going to be out there just hanging on.
Yeah, there's not too much it can do. It can't do anything to Heatran, really. Ice Beam, it need more than one to knock out Landorus. Certainly not likely to get the opportunity to do that against these two Pokemon. So it's going to require Naohito having a very particular final Pokemon, I guess, to basically defeat three Pokemon on the opposing side. Yeah,
that could be absolutely brutal here, and both players locking in their final moves on this one here. Cresselia shouldn't be able to last too much longer, considering there was a protect there on the on that last turn.
Yeah, time's ticking down as well. It's something that doesn't typically exist for the Japanese players, so I was a little bit interested in how they play around the time, but might actually help Naohito here. I guess I can't imagine how he's going to pull himself out of this one, but certainly more likely to win on time probably than by actually knocking all the opposing Pokemon.
That's true. With Aegislash having access to that King Shield, we see another Protect there for Cresselia. Does get the double Protect here. Now Hito really excited about that one. Maybe it's going to be a big play depending on where the targets go for Shoma. We do see the Heat Wave here. And oh my gosh, doing a ton of damage to that Aegislash. It's going to switch into Blade form here and hopefully get off some serious damage into one of these Pokemon. It's going to be a Shadow Ball onto that Heatran slot, but leaves it in the red there. Maybe just hoping for that critical hit.
Yeah, maybe. It gets it really close, though. It's like we're kind of a couple attack misses now, maybe away from something happening. I'm not sure if Cresselia can get just knocked up by U-turn here, which kind of ruins all of the excitement if it can. But if not, an Ice Beam, an attack missing perhaps the other way, maybe something can happen here.
Yeah, we did see that Landorus switch move, so we know it's not locked into anything here, so it definitely does have that option. Cresselia, in the yellow, I don't know if it has the bulk to take a super effective attack like that right now here. Aegislash also very, very low, and we saw how much damage that Heat Wave did, even in shield form, so even if it can make one more turn through a King Shield, it might not make it one more Heat Wave. But like you said, Scott, misses do happen, and it could be a game changer. Wait a second, Shadow Sneak! Are you kidding me? Picks up the Fate on Shoma's Heatran. This match just got absolutely turned around depending on what this Landorus decides to do. This could be a big move here. Knockoff onto Cresselia. Does pick up the feint with just enough damage. Shoma turning to the audience, throwing a fist in the air here. Very, very excited as that Landorus hangs on with about full hit points there. I don't think it has a scratch on it, and I think there we go with the Earthquake in Blade form. Shoma standing up, excited to potentially be your next world champion here. Incredible match there.
Stop.
Oh my God. He's done.
We get a medic on the field.
Oh my gosh, he's out like a lantern.
Yeah, that shows you how exhausting this journey's probably been, though. Now 9 rounds into the day, he made through just enough to make it.